Alright, hope everybody's doing well. Today I'm going to be sharpening up a Yaxell. This is a Yaxell, I believe it's the Mon 8-inch chef's knife. I'm going to be sharpening this and maybe one or two others for a friend. They bought these a while back, and I don't know what they've been using for a cutting board, but I'm guessing it's their countertop, because it's, there's no damage like any chips or anything, but it's the entire edge is reflecting light. I mean, literally from the heel to the tip. So I'm going to sharpen it up and see what kind of edge it takes. I don't know a lot about these knives. I mean, the fit and finish seems pretty decent. I've heard mention of them on several forums. And it's funny, especially over on Reddit, on the subreddit Chef's Knives. These don't get a whole lot of love from the people over there. And whenever I see this knife mentioned, I hear of that the YouTuber Perfection. And I don't follow the guy a whole lot. I've watched some of his videos, and I think the last video that I watched was, I guess he had gotten his studio that he makes all the videos broken into, and had a bunch of his equipment, like tens of thousands of dollars in camera equipment, all that stuff taken, which kind of sucks. I mean, the guy seems like a nice guy. And after I watched that, I had been in the market. I was kind of thinking about ordering some Naniwa Pros, because for years I had Chaceros, and I got rid of them just because of a couple of issues I had, the cracking and also the stones. I don't know if it's a binder or something, and them really bugged my hands. And I've been wanting to try the the professionals for quite a while, because I heard they kind of changed them a little bit. They're supposed to be the same for the most part, but they did change them. So I ordered off that Perfection store just to send a little business his way. I ordered a full set of these, and I've tried them a few times since I got them. They remind me of my old Choceros. I mean, they really feel almost identical. I'm just hoping that they don't crack. Before I would dry them off. I had a wood rack that I made with dowels. I would put them in there and I'd let them air dry for at least a day. And even then, after I did that, I get all sorts of little cracks and stuff on the surface. And you spend $150, $200 or something like that on stones, or even $100 or less, and it kind of pisses you off when you start seeing them cracking even when you're taking care of them. But this is the 800 grit. I'm going to probably do this, and maybe I'll probably do a 3000 to finish. I don't think I'm going to go any higher than that. I'll tell you one thing I did that just made me puke. These stones were brand new. I put it on my stone holder, and I was doing something. I didn't stick it in there all the way, as far as getting the stone to lock in like this, and it slipped off, and it hit the threads, and it put a chip in it. Now, it's a tiny little chip, but God, I hadn't even used it yet, and I chipped them. Just made me sick. Anyways, enough yapping. I'll start sharpening here. So. Yeah, and like I mentioned in the forums, they had several of the knives mentioned that they said were a better buy than this, kind of in the same price point. And I actually happen to own those knives, Fujiwara and Tajiro, things like that. And just looking at it, it looks basically the same. It's VG-10. I think this Rockwell's a little bit higher too than the other ones, so I don't know what they're talking about. But like I said, the fit and finish seems pretty good overall. Got a burr worked up already. I'm going to try and put a little bit more obtuse edge on this. Being VG-10, try and make it a little bit more durable for them. Try and tell them not to chop on the countertop too. That's kind of not conducive to good edge retention and edge life. I may ask them if I can use this for a little bit and then touch it up just to kind of see how the edge holds up, but I don't think they'll mind. If it's halfway decent, I might get one myself. I think they're only about 70, 80 bucks on like Amazon. There's a few other places you can get them. Got a very fine burr worked up. Alright, that's pretty quick. Yeah, I mean the thing is, you know, it's the edge on this is overall pretty thin. So it should cut really well. Fit and finish on the handle, I mean there's no hot spots. I mean it's just feels very comfortable actually. So. Try not to chip my stone anymore. Yeah, I think I'll grab the Naniwa Pro 3000. And these are great stones. So far, you know, like I said, they're just like Choceros. The only downside is when you start getting up into the polishing stones on these, man, they get expensive. But they should last a long time, many years. So. Just using distilled water and some dish soap, Dawn. Nothing fancy. I sharpened a lot of VG-10 on the old Choceros, so it always liked that steel. Cuts really fast, leaves a really good edge. And you can just tell, I could tell that these stones like this steel quite a bit. So. Anybody looking to buy these or shafting some other stones, you know, it's pretty easy to get confused on the grit rating. Like if you look at the 800 Professional, the Naniwa Pro that I just got done with, and you might be thinking, you know, should I get that, or maybe I should get a Sharpening. 1000, and you look at the 1000 on the shaft and the Pro, the Koromaku stones, and you think that that's a finer stone. Well, actually, it's not. If you look at the micron rating, the 800 Naniwa is actually a finer stone than the shaft in Pro 1000 is. So when you're buying stones, you got to be careful of that. I'll when I'm uploading the video, I'll post in a link, or I'll post in the description below a link to a grit rating chart that you can look at. You know, if you're thinking about buying stones, it's got all sorts of different stones in there. It's got Sharpenings, it's got Edge Pros, it's got Naniwa, Spydercos. Maybe help you out if you're a bit confused on the actual grit and micron ratings. Now I'm going to reduce the pressure a little bit and just do some alternating passes. Actually going to reduce the pressure a lot. I'm just trying to work each side a little bit, grind that burr down when I'm flipping back and forth. And then once I feel that I've got most of the burr worked off, I'll do some edge trailing stropping strokes to, you know, any burr that's left or any kind of a wire edge. I'm going to fatigue it, you know, set it up. And if I need to, I'll strop it a little bit, but probably with this fine a stone, I'm not really feeling any burr, so probably won't even need to strop it. I believe this Rockwell's low 60s, 61, 62. So the burr should come off fairly easy. It's not like some cheap crappy stainless where that burr just wants to hang on there and not come off. Just the lightest of pressure. Yeah, it feels pretty good. I was dragging it and I felt this little hang up, and there's a piece of burr that just my fingernail pulled off. And it's really biting into my nail. I mean, it's not slipping at all. You can see it's fairly decent. So I think I got it for the most part where I want it. I'm just going to clean that off, add a nice coat of water on there. And I'm going to find the angle I've been sharpening at, close as I can get it. And very, very light. Just skimming that over the top. You don't want to use pressure. And some people actually like to not even do it what, you know, the angle they've been sharpening at, but they'll increase it a couple, 3 degrees. And that'll hit that burr a little bit better. I don't normally do that, but you can. You know, some people say, oh, you're putting a micro bevel on if you do that. You're not putting a micro bevel on there. You're using very light pressure, a handful of stropping passes. It's just not going to put it on there. I just don't find that it's normally necessary to do that. Now, depending on the steel, sometimes you can get away with just a few passes. Sometimes you don't even need any stropping strokes. Other times it might take you a couple dozen or 3 dozen. I mean, it just depends. Just kind of got to go by feel. You know, there's no set number of passes or strokes per steel or anything like that. You know, it just all comes down to practice and kind of feeling it out. So. That feels really quite sharp. I don't think I'm going to strop that at all. I'm going to grab a little piece of paper here and test it out. That's just right off the stone. That thing's killer edge. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus. Well, it doesn't want to. Well, I think it took a nice quick edge, and like I said, I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to ask him if I can use it just for a little bit, and I'll clean it up, touch it up for him. I'm just kind of curious. There it goes. It seems like it'd be a decent knife. God, the Naniwas, man, it's just, oops, might be a little wet. Naniwas really are great stones. I have a preference for Sharpening, but you really can't go wrong with either one, in my opinion. If I had to choose one type of sharpening stone or stones, I would go with just regular old water stones. These are Sharpenings. I mean, they're great for your real fine grain, high carbon steels like Hitachi steels. And when it comes to the really hard steels, it's not, they don't work that great, but you can still use them. The only thing is, that when you start sharpening harder steels on these stones, they just the abrasives don't want to bite in the steel. You know, it kind of feels like they're gliding over. So when you're using it, if you just use a little bit more pressure, even if you're sharpening like S110 or K390 or something like that, they'll work. Just use a little bit more pressure. Like I said, on you know, most of the steels you find on Japanese kitchen knives, they're phenomenal. You won't get find better stones for sharpening those kinds of knives and steels. So. Anyway, like I said, I got a couple more that I'm going to sharpen for them. I might make videos on those, but thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.